Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining our presentation today, a live review of NetSuite's Advertising 360 order-to-invoice workflow. My name is Chris Herring, and I'm the Director for Advertising, Marketing, and Media here at NetSuite. I'm excited to be sharing this presentation today with Pam Redford from NetSuite Solution Consulting Team that's also focused on advertising, media, and publishing. Today it will be Pam's job to walk you through a live review of NetSuite Solution Order to Invoice after I give you a brief introduction of NetSuite Solution to the business problems we see today in the advertising and media world. For today's agenda, we have an exciting and tightly packed hour. First, we'll cover the NetSuite background as well as the typical business challenges, and then move into a solution review, going through a few scenarios that we typically see within NetSuite customers. If you have to depart before the end of the meeting, feel free to email questions to Pam and myself. We'll have a Q&A period of approximately 10 minutes. You're welcome to enter questions as they come to mind in the question panel in the lower right hand of your screen today. For those of you not familiar with NetSuite, we were founded in 1998, and we've been hugely successful since then. Today, NetSuite is a publicly traded company on the New York Stock Exchange with global offices from the APAC region all the way through EMEA. Today, we're used by over 24,000 companies and have reached 556 million in financial year 2014. We are the fastest growing financial management system worldwide. And within the media space today, we work with a number of industry brands that you may recognize, such as Thomson Reuters, the Boston Globe, the Dow Jones Company, Scholastic, TubeMogul, and Lonely Planet. When we talk about the top FMS, or financial management system leader, we're not just saying that from our own opinion. We're actually referencing a Gartner study on the growth of financial management systems in the industry globally. And when Gartner looked at the industry, they found that NetSuite was growing at approximately 41.7% as compared to a number of competitors you may have heard of, Microsoft, Sage, SAP, and Oracle. You'll note that the closest competitor was 5.2%, and indeed, NetSuite's the only true cloud-based provider of ERP in that review. So NetSuite has a market advantage and is growing at a faster pace than those behind it. So let's talk a little about the marketplace that you all reside in today, the media and advertising space. I think it's safe to say all of us recognize it's in a state of flux today. You're dealing with lots of changing requirements of your customers and brands, and you have to be on your feet and agile. You're dealing with multiple revenue models, different channels, different consumer touch points, all of which have to flow into your campaigns and your measurement metrics. When you think about your business, it's not just a domestic or a regional business anymore. It's a global business with consumers globally, brands that need global reach. On top of that, you may be dealing not only with advertising revenue, but different subscription revenues, abilities to add subscriptions, add different entitlements as different opportunities and products come your way. And lastly, in order to maintain content and credibility within the industry, you need to maximize your revenue against your content to retain employees and keep your level of engagement high. So when you think about that market challenge and then you look at the systems internally, they're often in opposition. You're looking for a singular system that can give you those viewpoints and insights into your business so you can make those critical business investments against a new property or a new product or a new subscription model. At the same time, what we typically run into when we engage a classic media publishing company is a series of silos. There are ad sales groups, there are e-commerce groups, order management, creative, delivery, services, and HR, all operating within different systems. Some may be on-premise, some may be in Excel, all of which have a spaghetti of integration points to a core financials. which may or may not be internationally capable. And as an output from that financial tool, we'll see management reporting, reconciliation requirements, and subsidiary reporting that are all quite challenging as a function of the business because of the complexities of the core processes that go through all of these different silos. So what do we do about that today? We take a look at those challenges and those outputs, and we synthesize them down to a key business requirements that we think are consistent across the industry. Executive decision making is hampered by those same system challenges we just reviewed. We need to capture more revenue and experiment with faster iterations of products and subscription models. There is significant pain in our sales process in terms of the workflow and reconciliation. We need to look at the different media properties we're engaged with, whether it be a blog here, a magazine here, or a newspaper there, as many of our companies deal with, and understand the revenue associated with that. And lastly, we need to focus on where that core business is going versus keeping the lights on and managing an IT stack that's at this point quite old. So what NetSuite does is bring all those things together in a succinct, singular system. And NetSuite's offering to the media and publishing world that we bring to bear today allows you to look at all of those different insights in a singular fashion. And when we think about how we deploy that, how we get you from those silos of information to a singular system, much of that has to do with the way we have arranged our go-to-market here at NetSuite. Within NetSuite, we have a dedicated sales team, professional services team, solution consulting team, all organized around the advertising, media, and publishing vertical. And what that means to you is that when you think about your deployment and your move from where you are today, point A, to a place in the future, point B, where you'll have complete insight into these business metrics, you'll need to rely on a professional services team that will help you get there. And NetSuite actually has over 30 individuals within the NetSuite core practice dedicated to media that have come from industry, that have understood those challenges while they were industry side, and have come to NetSuite to deploy NetSuite's tools within the industry. And we get customers live on average in 5 months. And when we think about what kind of risk or what kind of variation there is in terms of that deployment success, 90% of those deployments are on budget. And lastly, we have over 100 go-lives each quarter. So when you think about a trusted partner that can help you get from point A to point B, NetSuite's there not only during the sales process to understand the challenges that you as an industry are going through and the opportunities that you have to maximize your content and maximize your revenue. We're also there to help you and hold your hand as you go through what typically is a difficult transition of moving from one ERP system to the next. So as we go through today's system review with Pamela, keep in mind NetSuite's team and go-to-market team is behind you from the sales process all the way through to the deployment. So with that, I'm going to pass the baton to Pamela. Pamela is based in Toronto and has been with NetSuite over a year, coming from industry like many of our resources. And she's going to walk us through the framework that she's going to review today in the order-to-invoice media review. Pamela, with that, I'll hand it over to you.
Thanks, Chris. Glad to be here today. And so today we'll be going through, various different roles from the sales side to an operations to a finance type of role. And this is a lot of the challenges that we see when we're talking to our customers before they come on to NetSuite. So, fragmented information, multiple pieces of information in different systems, being reactive, having reactive decisions that are costing money, manual invoicing, trying to marry up ad server data with insertion order information, time-consuming, doing billing schedules and rev recognitions, as well as errors that then result, as well as a monthly time-consuming month-end process. So this includes currency revaluation, changes with consolidations, time-consuming, and again, multiple errors being resulting. So as I mentioned, we're going to be sort of walking through 3 different types of roles today. A salesperson, and you'll be able to see the different types of dashboards, the workflow that they would then be responsible for. And as the suite of information will be flowing through, you'll see then how the workflow will then automatically flow through to each of the dashboards. Over to the account management, we're going to be talking about a lot of the reports that are available in NetSuite, all the inherent reports as well as reports that you can build fitting any need that you have. And onto the finance side to show, the visibility from all aspects of the company, and also the ability to get through the month-end process really quickly and easily. Great. So I'm just sharing my screen here. So right now, as I mentioned, I'm in a salesperson type role. And NetSuite is a role type system. So depending on the user, you can set up, we have finance roles, marketing roles, project managers. And each of these roles will have various aspects that they can either view, edit depending on their role, as well as you can also set up these roles so that they don't have access to any type of information, such as payroll or employee type information. This is a salesperson's dashboard, so I've really set up on this dashboard everything that sort of relates to this person. So I can have my leads here, my opportunities, as well as my forecasts and all the different types of reports that I might want to look at regarding my forecasting. I've also set up this dashboard with a business alert here, so letting me know everything that needs my attention to, or just give me access into information so I'm aware of what's going on. So I can see that I have one client right now that's still missing their credit approval from the finance department, as well as it looks like I've got 3 contracts that are missing approval from the sales director or the finance manager. I should mention that NetSuite has a very robust approval routing system that you can utilize, such as, having a vendor bill being authorized by a finance person as well as a supervisor. But we also have a very easy-to-use approval process workflow tool that allow you to create any type of workflow or approval process that you would like to have put into the NetSuite system. Going down onto my dashboard, I've actually put in a feed to let me know that everything that's happening about, the customers that I might be working on and the industry trends. So I've just brought in an RSS feed here from Adweek, but, any type of feed can be brought into NetSuite to help, bring information onto the dashboard to, encourage the salesperson to live in the NetSuite instance. Further down on the dashboard, I can now see my key performance indicators, such as, the number of opportunities I'm working on, my quota, sales that I have, and you can also see this trend graph here. And if I click on this trend graph, I'm going to be able to see how I've been performing over time. I can switch to a different view as I need it to. I can also export this into a PNG file if I need to get into a deck or send it off in an email, as well as export this into a CSV or Excel version. And you'll be seeing later on in the demo that I can drill down into any of these KPIs here to further, have more information. Any of the dashboard information that you're seeing here, I've got the ability to set up and add any standard reports that we have in the NetSuite system. And we have about over 200 reports ranging from finance, marketing, sales, project type reports that I can add in here. I can also modify any of those standard reports or build any reports ad hoc and put those on my dashboard. The dashboard's also easy to personalize. I can just quickly, come into the system, determine if I want to have a list of my customers, add additional KPI meter to see how I'm tracking to my goals. I can also add in any report snapshots, and it's just the ability to click on these, drag and drop. And again, utilizing any of our standard or custom reports that you might have built. Following through down on the dashboard, I've got a scorecard that, again, that's going to let me know how I've been trending over time. So I can see, how I'm performing to my quota, number of dollar value that I still need to reach my quota, as well as, how I've been trending on my lead conversions. Right from the dashboard, I can also work on any opportunities I might have currently open. I can, right from the dashboard, determine maybe I need to change the date that this is expecting to close, and this is now going to automatically update any type of forecast or pipeline reports that you're utilizing NetSuite. I can also, determine if I want to change the status, and it's going to automatically change those dates as well as the forecasting. I can, right from the opportunity as well, determine if I want to add in perhaps I want to add in a new, move it over to an insertion order to a contract. So it's going to automatically bring in my pitch information and move that over to an insertion order. I can also indicate if maybe there's some activities that I'm working on that I need to track, such as, phone calls or meetings that I'm booking. I can track that right from my dashboard. So really quickly and easily to help a salesperson get through their day. I've also got the ability to, quickly jump into any frequently used transactions or entities that I might want to start creating and get them into the NetSuite system. Just moving back up to the dashboard, we've got some reminders here. So this is going to let me know certain things that I need to, really pay attention to and get through. So it looks like I'm flagging myself that I've got some opportunities that are ready to close. And it looks like I've also scheduled a marketing campaign to let maybe some of my leads know about some new products that they might be interested in and help them move through the sales cycle a lot quickly and automated. Any of the reports here that are on the dashboard, again, that you can set up as being either any of our standard reports or graphs, as well as any of our custom reports. And I've got the ability to, change any of the time periods that I'd like on these dashboards as well. NetSuite also has a collaboration tool that will allow you to collaborate between different coworkers. So, perhaps it could be the finance team letting me know there's an invoice that needs to be responded to, and I can have that on my dashboard to remind me, as well as maybe setting up a task to let myself know that there's something that I need to do that's coming up in the future. The other thing that's great thing about the NetSuite, the system, is that, we've got this global search at the top of the dashboard here. And this is really going to allow me to look into any of my information that's in the NetSuite system. So, right away it looks like I've got an Adidas contract that's coming up for renewal of subscription. And so let's go in and look at the contract that I've actually already set up for this customer. So in the global search, we're able to start typing in any numbers, and right away it's going to start looking for any numbers that sort of match this. I can also use this to look up a customer name. So really intuitive ways to help, get into any data. Not a lot of clicking, it's going to bring me right to where I need to go. I can also use this tool to look up any reports that I need to have access to. So this is an insertion order that I've already created, and it looks like it's pending approval for the finance department. And you'll see how when we get to the finance dashboard, this is all connected, and my finance person has also been notified that this is now ready for them to review and approve. And there's some key pieces of information let's go through on the contract. So on the NetSuite system, we're going to have on the contract a lot of, cells that are already inherent to the transaction, such as, your bill to and your advertiser. So I'm able to indicate, maybe if I'm working with an agency here and an end customer there, or if I'm working with somebody directly, I can indicate that on my contract. I've also got here a custom field that I've added into the system. So, NetSuite's really easy to configure any of the fields in the system, whether it's transactional, item type fields, or maybe customer type fields, anything that you need to report off of, anything that you need to modify the look and feel to carry more information. It's easy to put that information into the system without having any coding capability. So here's one where I put in a checkbox to indicate if this, maybe this is a contract that needs to go off of some client numbers rather than our own. And I've also got a number of different items here on the bottom. It looks like I've got a digital campaign, video campaign that's running with impression-based, CPM-based, and it looks like I've also married this up with a content provider. So NetSuite allows you to set up certain products in the system, like this BuzzFeed video piece, and it's going to automatically tag it to the vendor. So that you see when we get to the finance side, this is now going to automatically set up a vendor bill for your content provider, such as BuzzFeed, so that you can automatically start putting together, how much is owed to this person based on the contract that you've already associated with what you're going to be paying them out. So, really quick that you don't have to double key this kind of information in. It's all connected, and you'll see once we get to the approval process on the finance side, the automation on that process. It looks like here I've also got a magazine piece that's running. It looks like July 1st. And I've also set this up with a billing schedule and a rev rec piece, or actually the items have automatically defaulted to these two portions. So this is letting us know that we actually need to invoice this customer right now, but that we're going to be recognizing the revenue in July 1st. And this is a way that we can automate, the billings, the deferred revenue recognition process that we find that a lot of customers right now are doing manually with Excel and having to key those things at the end of the month. This is something that NetSuite does automatically as part of the month-end close process. We'll be automatically taking them out of the deferred entry, deferred revenue, and putting into the revenue based on the type of schedule that you've indicated on the contract. And it looks like I've also got here a subscription, annual subscription that's going to be running, and I'm going to be billing this customer once a month for this type of contract. You'll also see that when I'm on this contract that, I'm able to link back to any other key pieces. So I can see that this already started from an opportunity, and I can click back into that transaction. I can also go into that customer, and let's take a look at now the customer's 360 view. So now I'm in the customer 360, and this is really going to contain everything that's about this customer. So, right away I can see I've got some contacts related to this customer, such as my decision maker and my AP contact. I can also show any kind of communication that's happening with this customer. So it looks like this is, it looks like we've sent out this contract to be signed. This was communication that existed on that sales contract that we're in, number insert number 2429. But I can also see any of that communication right on the customer record. When we send out any kind of communication from NetSuite to a contact, and they respond to that contact, you'll see that it automatically loads that back up into NetSuite. There's sort of some tagging methodologies to go through. So, not only is it going to live in the client 360, so I've got that holistic view of that customer, but I also would have received a copy of that email on my Outlook, Gmail, or whatever my email account is, as well as my mobile device to let me know to jump back into my contract and be able to view it. You can also see, any type of financial information that I've set up. In this case, I've actually given access to my salesperson to see this kind of information, but these are tabs that you can lock down based on the role type views. So I can see that this person's got a base level rate card. NetSuite's got the ability to handle multiple rate cards per customer. I'm working with this customer in US dollars, but this customer could have been in Canadian or euros, depending on what their needs are for the system. I've also established that this customer also has $500,000 in credit, and then the finance person has indicated that the credit is auto. So NetSuite's got, a variety of different ways of how you can handle credit procedures, such as, having them not have credit enforced. So I just have a reminder on a report, or maybe let the salesperson know anytime they make a contract that they're over the credit limit, that it'll pop up and do that reminder for them. I can also see down at the bottom here, what the 30, 60, 90 days on the AR overdues for this customer is. If we're working any of the projects in our system, project management, that's where that would live in here. Any of the projects that this customer is working on, maybe with our creative department, would live here. Dunning, we also have a Dunning module that can be utilized by the finance department and determine, what kind of reminders we'd like to have be sent out, how often they would need to be sent out, and that would be something that maybe the Dunning manager or somebody in the finance department would set up. And again, this is an automated procedure that would then send out those reminders based on the schedule that you set up and the type of template in the system. And lastly, I can see any of the sales that are related to this customer. So I can see that I'm the sales rep on this. I can see any of my pitches that have been sent in. I can also see, any of the transactions that have also gone into the salesperson's view as well. Great. And lastly, we've also got a client dashboard here, so I can click on this dashboard and now see everything about my customer in a dashboard view. So, and again, this is a dashboard that I can personalize and determine if I want more graphs or a different list or whatever, like on this dashboard view, can now give me everything about this customer, such as, how I'm performing this year versus last. What's my outstanding DSO, my days average overdue for this customer, and so on. I can also get a list of, frequently purchased products by this customer and any type of transactions that this customer has outstanding. One of the things that we also find with the users on the sales side is that we have what's called blocking charts in NetSuite, and this is just an example of a custom tab that I put in with some custom reports. We find that a lot of companies are right now combining, what products are available to be sold on a limited inventory basis versus, what contracts have already gone out, so that they've got a view of what's still available to be sold and they don't have any issues with double bookings and that type of thing. So right now I've combined in this Save Search, I've got some examples here with magazines and newsletters, but this could also be utilized for sponsorships or takeovers, anything really where you've got some limited availability. And so right now I'm combining my items or my products in NetSuite with a view of what my contracts have been sold. So I have a view of, what's currently gone out there on signed contracts versus what's been available. This is something that's not only available on my dashboard, but this is something that also could be scheduled out in a regular email. So maybe every Monday morning this is sent out for your sales team, so everybody's up to date with what's available in the inventory and products to be sold. So, a lot of flexibility on helping their salespeople get through their day and, making sure that they have everything at their fingertips to help make sure that their pipeline's being met, that they're selling all their products. And now let's move over to the operations side to see, a difference of their dashboard and helping the operations team really maximize the revenue and making sure everything is starting on time. So I've moved over to an operations dashboard, and and really you'll see that this dashboard has now changed sort of the look and feel of it. Now it's much more of a list type view. It's more about the workflow of things that I need to be on top of. So right away I've got a list of contracts that I'm waiting for the creative on, and I can see that this one has been highlighted versus other ones. Again, I've got a filter that I can choose which type of media I want to look at. Further on now, I've got a tracking of delivery information. So I've got a red light, green light to let me know any of my, impression-based or click-based campaigns and, how they're running, whether or not they're running on time and going to be making the budget goals, or, if I've flagged them because they haven't been running on time. And let's just open up one of these contracts here. I can also, again, do any type of back-end goal tracking. So if I've got a back-end goal for click-through rates, anything you can report on can then be on the dashboard for the user. And I can also automate any reports that I might be needing to send out on a regular basis, such as performance reports or, any type of reports that I need to have in the system, I can then automate and have on my dashboard. So from the insertion order, you'll see that, we've got some further information. So I've already brought in some impression-based information. NetSuite's got an open API that can then connect to various ad servers or any type of external system can be integrated with the NetSuite API system. We've got a number of customers that have already done this, as well as, if you don't have access to be able to integrate with a system, you've also got the ability to import into NetSuite any type of CSV record. This can be anything from setting up your customers, any of your transactions, such as importing in sales invoices from your ad server system or external systems, as well as any type of custom type of information you'd like to have into the NetSuite system. The NetSuite system will also allow you to automatically fulfill these impressions when you get to the end of your campaign, as well as follow any of the billing schedule methodologies that you might have set up there. One of the things I wanted to point out when I'm on this operations role is that, we've got something in NetSuite called custom records. And this really lets you utilize, a record type format to pull in any type of columns and rows type data that I'm highlighting here into the NetSuite system. That doesn't necessarily need to be transactional type of information. It's any kind of information you'd like to report off of. So, for example, this one here that I brought in is just delivery information that's come in from an ad server. It's basically rows and columns, and you can indicate, whether this is a date field or calculation fields or text type fields that you're going to be bringing in. And you'll see how I've utilized this then in other scenarios in this example. So this one basically was sort of letting me see, how my campaign was performing and impressions, and I can see that over time that, my click-through rate was performing well, but that had, sort of decreased. And now this is something that I can then respond to and look into the ad server further to see what's going on. We also have in here what are called performance reports, and this is just another example of how to bring in that external data from NetSuite into the system. So again, I brought in some it looks like some third-party information from either if I need to sort of compare my delivery information with what's happening in third parties, or maybe I've got content providers where I have a rev share, and I want to make sure I'm maximizing my profitability of how I'm delivering those campaigns with those content providers. So again, I've got a KPI that's sort of flagging me that I've got, a discrepancy between my delivery as well as another system. It looks like I've also got some red light, green lights going on to let me know that it looks like ad server A, it's actually performing too high, and my gross margin is actually lower on that client. And so I'm just flagging that, maybe 2379, I might want to try and look into one of my other ad servers and determine why they're not performing as well to make sure I'm maximizing that gross margin on a campaign performance. Great. So I really wanted to highlight for this part of the demo, the ability to put in any type of visibility that you would like to track, any type of reporting into the NetSuite system can be on a dashboard. You can also have those scheduled, sent out on a regular basis, as well as on an exception level reporting, and give a lot of visibility to make sure you're maximizing your revenue in the NetSuite system. So moving on for the demo, we're then going to be going on to the controller side. And again, you'll see as I move into the controller role how the dashboard changes even further. So now on the dashboard for the controller role, this is what we call our One World subsidiary instance. And this allows me to see, everything that are happening in the NetSuite instance with multiple companies within the NetSuite system. And I've got child subsidiaries here, rolling up to a parent, and then sort of rolling up to a grandparent side. I've also got sort of my business alerts here that have now, flagged me about credit approval missing. So now I've got insight into what the salespeople are doing to flag me that, I've got a new customer that sets up that needs to be approved. I can also, let be flagged if, maybe I've got some opportunities that are really high value to be aware of, those kind of pitches that have been successful in the system. On the subsidiary navigator, one of the things that is great about this navigator is I've also got key performance indicators that, are related to, how the business is performing on sales, profitability, bank and receivables. I can look at this on a head office view. I can also now click and look at just on a subsidiary view and just see what's happening in my U.S. East company. And you'll see that as I did that, all of my indicators and all my graphs then updated. I can now also look at, how my UK company and all my stats are now going to change to the pounds version. So I've got a view of what's happening in their subsidiary currency. And I can also go back to my headquarters view and then see a global view on the U.S. dollars. So again, the ability to have automatic currency conversions as well as to be able to see currencies that's on the each subsidiary. This consolidation is live. This is something that's very unique to the NetSuite system that, you'll have a live view of that consolidation. So as those invoices are being generated or the vendor bills are being set up, you'll be able to see live on what's happening to all your different instances. Great, and we'll be coming back to some of these reports in a little bit later, but I just wanted to follow through with the flow that we were talking about earlier. So as a salesperson, we had the reminders that were related to things that were related to that salesperson that needed to get through. On the finance person, you'll see that the reminders here on my top left have changed a little bit differently. I've got things that need to be approved, such as contracts that need to be approved, timesheets, as well as, maybe employee expenses could be also something that needs to be approved on the reminders. This is just going to let me know things that can be done in bulk, as well as, workflow that then has put them on my dashboard. And then I can also see, things that I need to do in bulk, such as, I'm ready to be billing some of my insertion orders, that type of thing. So let's go in and look at that contract that we had talked about earlier with 2429. So right away, I can see that contract, based on that salesperson setting it over to a status, it's going to be on my dashboard. I've got the details that I can look at. It doesn't look like I've got any discounting. It's all following the customer's rate models. And I can then go into the system and then just approve that contract. And you'll see that as I go and do that, it's going to change the status from pending approval to approved. And now it's automatically set up that purchase order for the BuzzFeed to be setting up, automatically having that information so that when we're ready to pay that person, it's got information that's already set up and, easily to get that out to them to be paid. And this will also follow through, with any sort of rev share or dollar value commitments you've had on a product level. So, reducing the amount of keying that you need to do on the NetSuite system. Again, because I've set up my billing schedules, when I go to then do my billing functionality, it's going to automatically know what types of bills I should be sending out each month based on the schedule that I've set up in the system. So as I go over to my insertion orders to bill, let's look at maybe one of the other contracts that we've set up in the NetSuite system with the 2399. And again, I can come through and either determine, because these have all been routed and approved and follow all the procedures in the NetSuite system, I can either come through and hit mark all and submit, really getting you through your invoicing quite quickly. As well as I could go to any of my invoices at any time and just determine that, I'm ready to actually bill these on the fly. As I mentioned, in the NetSuite system, we can bring in your ads for fulfillment, and then with the click of the button, automatically invoice those campaigns so that, it's got the fulfillment in and automatically generating those invoices. And the same thing happens with on the expense side. So automatically setting up amortization of prepaids, automatically having vendor bills routed that are ready to be paid, all can be sitting on your dashboard so that it's easily to get through your month-end process and any of your tasks that you need to perform on a daily basis. Great. So lastly, I want to talk about some of the reporting that's in the NetSuite system. Again, we had sort of talked about some key performance indicators. I can also have some financial ratios on my dashboards that might be key to me. Again, we've got a number of sort of out-of-the-box type ratios and key stats that you might want to have at your dashboards, but you also have the ability to add in any type of custom ratios that you would like to have in the system. And again, I've got the ability to drill into any of these features, such as my DSO, as well as see how any of these are trending over time. As I mentioned earlier, any of the reports that are in the NetSuite system you can drill into. I've also got the ability to look into, any of the variety of the reports that we have in the NetSuite system, such as, comparison income statement reports and balance sheets. I can look at, how any of my AP or AR is performing, as well as, how, my revenue is doing based on my salespeople or on the customers. And I can drill right into my profit report from the NetSuite dashboard. So any of the reports that in the NetSuite system, as I mentioned earlier, you have the ability to customize these. Again, this is a non-coding like reporting configuration, ability to drag and drop any of the fields, whether they're NetSuite inherent fields or custom fields that you've added into the application. I can then also utilize any of the fields that have already been set up, such as, let's change the date period here. Let's go back to April, and I can also determine how I want to look at it. Do I want to look at it, as an individual subsidiary on a head office basis? Do I want to look at it, on, accounting period over time, how things are trending? Do I also want to look at it, by revenue type or by subsidiary? So a lot of flexibility on how I want to see these reports. I can also determine if I want to email any of these reports on the fly, as well as to schedule these. So maybe this is the type of report that I would like to have emailed out to my managers, on a weekly basis so that they can see how the company is performing on their profitability. And you also have the ability to export any of these reports, either on a CSV, Excel, PDF, or Word basis. And the great thing about this is when you export in Excel, it's also going to keep any of the sum functions and the formatting. So if you want to utilize this report for any type of, what-if type scenarios, you can do that as well. Clicking on this More button down here, you'll also see that I'm not limited just to using that type of cell. I can also determine if I want to look at it by revenue to type, by certain products, certain departments, customers, see how they're performing with the different types of revenues in our system, as well as, different locations or different subsidiaries. So a lot of flexibility on how you're able to see any of your information on the NetSuite system. And again, I'm able to drill into any of these reports here and see further information right down into the source, such as the journal entries and the invoices. And so I can drill any of these right down into the transaction. And, with a click, I can go right from the dashboard into those invoices and see what's happening with these transactions or journal entries or expenses that are in the system. As I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of flexibility when it comes to reporting. And so, again, you can have a dashboard set up with sort of, a whole, how the company is performing. But I can also set up a tab to maybe provide any type of view I'd like to see of how the company is performing. So sometimes we have customers that set this up with maybe a new product that is launched, and they want to see how that is performing with their the subscriptions and the new business. The example that I've put through today is just to show, everything that's happening with this company. So I've got a holistic view of everything. Again, I can see, how I'm performing to budget. I can see, again, those global financial ratios to see my liquidity. I can see information regarding my customers, such as, new customers versus my lost customers. And I can also see my average revenue per customer just to make sure I'm making those KPIs that I've set up on the budgets. We also have graphs that will let me know, my new business trend over time. And again, the flexibility to change any of these reports. I can also see stats regarding my employees, such as my new hires and my revenue per employee, as well as my square footage, and then also on my collection side, how my average days to pay is happening. And again, any of these information you can then set up in the NetSuite system, just determining what kind of information you would like to have, and then have that on the NetSuite system on your dashboard so that you've got that visibility, whether it's in a report or in a graph type system. So I'm really hoping that, from what you're seeing today on the finance side here is that you're going to see a lot of visibility on how you can get through your month-end process really quickly, how you're going to have access to the NetSuite system with all your reports and have a lot of visibility and, help you make the proactive decisions that you need to make. Great. And just a final, value for the NetSuite system is that, before when we were talking about the fragmented information, again, now everything's at your fingertips with the dashboards, with the reporting, with the ability to schedule your reports and be able to make those proactive decisions such as, your gross margins or maybe poor performance on any of your campaigns. Again, from a manual invoicing side, you're able to, import your invoices. You're able to do billing schedules and automatic rev recs, as well as, improving your efficiency and getting through your generating of your invoices really, really quickly. You're able to grow your system without having to grow headcount. And again, just reducing on the month-end close process, whether it's on the invoicing side or on the expense side, a lot of automation that you're going to be able to do to, get through your currency revaluations automated, your consolidations automated, amortization, as well as the deferred revenue that we had talked about earlier. So really, just letting you be proactive and making those decisions. And Chris, thanks. I'd like to hand it over to you to see if there's any questions that might have come up.
Thank you, Pam. Terrific work, and thank you for reviewing such a broad scope of functionality in a tight 35-minute time frame. And thank you all. It seems that we've had everyone who's attending stay on the line, so I appreciate all of the different, all the time everyone spent participating today. We have a couple questions coming through. The first question I had that I suppose, Pam, both you and I can address is, says this: when you review the performance metrics, can you set up alerts when sales go outside of the normal standards or when campaigns are not doing well so the emails go out to the campaign owners?
Yeah, absolutely. So any of the reports that are in the NetSuite system, you can send out as an exception level. So that's example that you had just indicated. So when maybe when a campaign is not performing well or when your gross margin has not met that threshold that you need it to make, you can not only have it on a dashboard, but be sent out as an alert. This alert can not only be on your email, but we also have a mobile functionality. So anything that you've seen here on a dashboard type view or approval view is also available on the mobile. I should also point out when I was talking about earlier those blocking charts, you can also, when the salesperson is putting in those contracts and maybe they've chosen a product that actually is sold out, that actually will flag them that that's the product that is sold out and they won't be able to then proceed further.
Yeah, that's a great point, highlighting the fact that those things won't be double sold. Okay, a couple more questions have come in. One question is this standard NetSuite functionality, is this an industry-specific addition, a suite app? I suppose I can take that. This is the standard NetSuite functionality. It's been configured with reports. We do have our advertising edition, which is a combination of modules that are most commonly sold within our vertical, but by no means is this extra special or new module per se. I think there are a couple of reports correct me if I'm wrong, Pam, that we've added a few layers of complexity just to map to some of the industry examples. Is that correct?
Yeah, so there's some functionality that, such as your contracts in here that we've added some new columns to. There's other modules that are non-industry specific, such as the Dunning module, but you can absolutely apply them to the advertising media publishing base to have your look and feel and your workflow related to how you need to proceed.
Perfect. Okay, there's another question that came in. The question was, is there an AP module or an accounts payable module as well within NetSuite? I mean, today we've been focusing on the order-to-invoice, but Pam, do you want to take that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have we absolutely have an AP side, and NetSuite then allows you. I should have pointed out also on the vendor side that we also you're able to use your vendors on a global basis. But we also have the ability to use requisitions in NetSuite, purchase orders, and or vendor bills, and you can determine which of those levels suits your company. So maybe you're a company that only works with vendor bills. Maybe you're a company that wants to work with purchase orders, then vendor bills. We've got that functionality that you can determine how you'd like to have that in the system. And yeah, that is something that's important to the NetSuite side on the advertising media. With working with publishers and content providers, as well as regular standard vendors with general admin.
That makes sense. And one thing to highlight here, and that kind of goes into it, is that today's review has been focused purely on the advertising and media workflow from order to invoice. NetSuite has a broad scope of functionality, including e-commerce functionality, advanced RevRec functionality, fixed assets, project and resource management, advanced CRM to include marketing automation. So there's lots within the NetSuite suite that we're not covering today. Today is meant to be a slice of the pie where we've been able to dive deep. Okay, and then here's a great question that ties into the I/O process, the insertion order process. Do insertion orders support the idea of sales splits, the idea of having multiple salespeople credited on the same invoice? Same in I/O.
Yeah, so we didn't get into the commission module, but NetSuite allows you to set up sales people and sales teams, so you can have sales teams associated to a contract. And then on the commission module side, you can then determine how you need to pay out each of those members, as well as, if there are any other shared type commissions, such as, manager gets a portion of that. But yeah, ability to set up individuals as well as team members on contracts.
And down to the order level, I think we can go ahead and highlight the sales contribution per order. So, okay, another follow-up question here. Do we support credit card payments against vendor or against client invoices?
Yep. So we have. So NetSuite has the ability to work with. We've got a partner with. Now it's just drawing me. But yes, we do credit card processing. We have a gateway PCI compliant as well, and you can set up your credit cards either to be on file so that the customer can let you know that you can then apply it to an outstanding invoice. You can also have invoices automatically go to a credit card as soon as they're generated, as well as EFT or ACH functionality. We also even do PayPal, and I think even Bitcoin's come out recently as something that we can utilize for payment of our customers.
Excellent. And when those credit card payments come through, how are they represented within the AR module?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
As a cash receipt in the AR module, or do they come across as a cash?
Yeah, so they would be coming across as a cash receipt. If they're as soon as you go to do the billing and they've got their credit card on file that you want them to pay as soon as the invoice is generated, that would come through as a cash receipt. But again, you can have it that they set up that credit card information so that maybe the customer comes back and tells you to pay invoice number with credit card number 1234, and that would show up as an invoice. Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Okay, a couple more questions on the I/O. One question here is, can we link the vendor publisher to the I/O so that it automatically calculates the liability based on the number of deliveries for that I/O?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's where I was sort of looking at earlier, this insertion order that we had talked about, where I've linked up BuzzFeed. I've got a publisher that, content provider that I'm going to be running this video on the BuzzFeed site. And, as part of the automation process, it's automatically set up the purchase order or the payable. And then what you can do is, because we've already set this up with, what their rev share level is. So, it could be 50%. In this case, maybe it was 5 cents for every time that video runs. And then again, as you're bringing in the fulfillment, it's going to automatically generate the vendor bills based on how much was delivered for the month of June, for the month of July, that type of thing.
Okay, perfect. And then I think this actually has come up in a number of conversations we've had recently with some ad tech players that we're actively engaged with, is how many other costs can you track to IOs, so specifically other vendor costs that may be related to IOs, like ad serving or validation? Can you track publisher and additional expenses beyond just the publisher expenses?
Yeah, so the NetSuite, a great question. So in the NetSuite system, you're able to basically group your sales and your expenses with these grouping fields here. Some examples tend to be sort of some projects where you're having to group expenses to sales. On the ad tech side, it could be creative expenses, but on the ad tech publishing side, you've also got the ability to link in with these sort of IDs that might connect certain systems such as campaign or flight IDs, or any type of other IDs that you need to. And then these IDs can then also live on the expense side. So whether it's an expense that you're uploading or in this case where I've put together a vendor bill that's going to connect that, this ID can then allow you to connect those expenses, the sales and the expense transactions, and then I have a profitability report on the entire grouping, on the product level, on the flight level, which is sort of the example that I was giving earlier with some of the performance reports that I was showing on the gross margin side.
Thank you. Perfect. Okay. Well, it seems that those are the remaining questions that we have within the queue. So with that, thank you for all of your questions today. Thank you for your participation. Very much enjoyed the conversation, and thank you for looking at NetSuite solution. Pam, thanks for doing a terrific job in the review. If you do have follow-up questions that come to mind later, feel free to email either myself, cherring@netsuite.com, or Pamela at puredford@netsuite.com. We'll also be publishing a recording of the session today, so if you have colleagues that weren't able to make it today or you feel would be benefited by watching the review or segments of the review, of course, you can forward the recording to the specific area you'd like to focus on. We will be distributing that. Feel free to reach out to us, and we can send it to you. Thank you so much, and thank you, Pam. Look forward to seeing you next time and as a NetSuite client. Thank you.